If I could say anything to anybody, it would be, first of all, don't do LASIK. Second of all, if you're grieving anything, a divorce is a true grief, losing a job, just find your people, speak to your people, pray about it. It is 100% okay to tell God that you're mad. You can even be mad at God.
Yeah.
Instead of turning away from the Lord when I was widowed, I should have turned to the Lord.
Welcome to the Juggling Life Finding Balance podcast. I'm your host, Vivian Cummins. Hey, listen, before I tell you about today's guest, do me a quick favor and click that subscribe button wherever you are listening or watching. By doing so, you are helping us to spread the word to more people. My guest today is Lorrie Tevebaugh. I've known Lorrie since we were girls in school, and I asked her to come on today because she has a testimony that I think many need to hear. After a routine LASIK eye surgery went wrong, Lorrie found herself legally blind. Her story is one of wrestling with God, wondering why he would allow something like this to happen to her. Then she realized, why not her? During this tragic season, Lorrie leaned on her faith, family, friends, and Facebook support groups. Today, she is raising awareness and warning others of the dangers of unnecessary eye procedures. Today's episode is meant to share one person's testimony and experience with this procedure. If you are contemplating this procedure, be encouraged to do your own research to help you make the best decision for you. So without further ado, let's dive in and welcome Lorrie. Hey, Lorrie, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. It's good to be with you.
I am so glad. Thank you. I am so glad that we connected. For those who are listening and watching, we went to high school together, didn't we?
We did. It's been a few minutes ago.
It really has. Don't remind me. Oh my gosh, don't remind me. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your story. I believe the awareness that you are going to bring to our audience today and your testimony is going to help so many people. But before we get into all of that, I'd love for you to share a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name's Lorrie Tevebaugh. I am first and foremost a follower of Christ. People can say they're a Christian, but I'm a true follower of Christ. I am a wife of 27 years, a mom of 6, a nan of 14. I do work outside the home. I arrange travel for the government in my spare time. I don't have a lot, but I
didn't think so.
I love to read and study the Bible. I love to spend time with my grandkids. I used to be a runner, long distance runner. I'm trying to get back into it. I'm an avid hiker. I love to boat. I love to be in nature. My husband and I have been to 30 national parks, and we're still trying to hit several more of them. And I just like to adventure and be outside. I just love to be outside.
I remember, now that you said that, I had forgotten, and now I remember that you used to be a runner. And I think there was one time years and years ago, I was trying to be a runner. I am not a runner.
Were your feet hurting you? Is that right?
I was getting the plantar fasciitis in my feet.
I remember that now.
Remember? And then I was getting the shin splints, and then my hips, and I don't run anymore. I can't even do it. So I admire you, and so good on you for getting back into it.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are welcome. So, hey, I asked you to come on today and share your experience of LASIK eye surgery. And that is something that I contemplated at one time, but I have pretty bad eyesight, so I was like really scared I was like, at least I can see with what I have, and so I was kind of scared to go for it. And I've been following your journey on the socials and the awareness that you're bringing to this topic. So first, let's start off. For those who may not know exactly what LASIK eye surgery is, can you explain that procedure to us? Because you had it done.
Yes, I can tell you about my procedure. You go in beforehand. Mine was just a few days before. They look at your eyes. They decide whether you are a candidate or a fit for the procedure. Your corneas have to be healthy. Your eyes have to look good, all the things. And then a few days later, you go back in. They put some numbing stuff in your eyes. I don't know what all it's kind of a procedure where they sent me from one room to the next room. And in each room, they would put some drops in my eyes and do the things. And then eventually they laid me down on my back and put something over my face, and they cut like a flap in your cornea. And so the procedure, then they pull the flap back and they use lasers and they change your vision somehow. Then they put the flap back on your cornea, and after a day or two, you're supposed to be able to see well. So that's kind of how the procedure is supposed to go. So,
All right.
yeah.
Okay. I got a visual.
Okay.
It's a little
Okay.
creepy, but I got that visual of it.
Right. Right.
What was your like so for me, I'll tell you, for me when I was thinking about doing it, I was like, "You know what? I would just like to not have to, wake up in the morning and I could just see." Cuz for me, I have to have my glasses on. I really can't see anything. So for me, I was like, I just want to open my eyes and be able to see. So what was the motivation for you to get it done?
I was kind of the same way. I spent a lot of time outside and, running. You start before dawn and you have to wear your regular glasses, and then it gets daylight. You have to put on your sunglasses. And, and being on the boat, getting in and out of the water, I didn't want to deal with contacts. The irony, I couldn't do contacts. I didn't think that I could touch my eyes. So let me do this Lasik. So hopefully I won't have to wear glasses anymore and deal with 2 or 3 pairs all the time, losing my prescription sunglasses. Um, just the convenience of it. I'd had a couple people, in my life, in my close life, who did it, and they were happy with it and had a good procedure. So, um,
Yeah.
and I was hesitant too. There's irony in the fact that I was hesitant, and then went ahead and did it, and then I had such a poor outcome. So
I mean,
you
all
know,
through school, I remember you had glasses all through school.
I
When
did, I
didn't you?
did, I did, and I was an avid horse rider back then. So I had been dealing with them my whole life, successfully. And looking back now, I wish I could just go back to that, but the grass is always greener, I think. So
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah, yeah.
maybe I could get 20/20 and not have to wear prescription glasses. That was
So
my
at what
thinking.
age, if you're comfortable telling me, at what age did you decide to do this?
So it'll be 3 years in March, and I'm
Okay.
55, so I was 52 when I did it. And I went in and, they said, "Oh, your eyes are so healthy and your cornea is thick enough." There weren't any warning signs that anything would go wrong with me. I was told I was a good candidate, so I just kinda jumped in with both feet, and I was super excited. I made a
Yeah.
Facebook post, I think, about it.
Yeah,
I
I remember all of
yeah,
these things.
yeah,
That's like I was like, I've been there from from the beginning, I feel
yes,
like.
yeah,
Yeah, of your
yeah, yeah,
journey.
you have,
So,
yeah.
just a quick curious question, you may not know the answer to this. Does it matter? I mean, can you ever be too old to have it done? I mean, was that part
Well,
of the reason why you had some we're gonna talk about the troubles that you had, but is that why?
I don't think my age, is why I had a poor outcome. There are lots and lots of people with poor outcome on LASIK. It's starting to become more well known. The thing about as you age, your eyes change shape anyway. And if you live long enough, 2 things are probably gonna happen. You're probably gonna need to have readers, because your eye just changes shapes as you get older, and also you're probably going to have cataracts if you live long enough. So at the time, I'm way more educated about eyes and vision now than I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
then. So, um, personally, I wouldn't recommend LASIK for anybody now since I've been through this, but especially somebody I think that, in their 50s like I was. 'Cause your eyes are going to change sooner than later, and you're gonna need readers anyway.
Right?
So
I have embraced that's what these ones are. So
they're
I have
cute.
contacts in and I
Yeah.
just, you know what? I just was like when my optometrist said you need readers now and I was like, "Oh man," cuz I wear contacts and so I just embraced it and I have so much fun with these
You
readers.
do.
I love them. I love them. I get these really big ones, the bigger the better. Let's just, and so I'm enjoying them and I have 10 million of them around my house and I lose them, and it's just a thing. I've
Yeah.
embraced it.
Yeah. As we all should. As
Oh,
we all
man.
should. Yeah.
So, Lori, tell me, so you kinda alluded to it, so tell me when you realized after you had the procedure. Well, let me back up. During the procedure, did anything, tip you off that this didn't feel right, didn't seem right? And when did you realize that something had gone wrong?
I didn't think anything went wrong. I was expecting a great outcome. They actually took my husband into a side room and let him watch the procedure over a television monitor. He recorded it. He was so excited for me. I came out and they looked at my eyes and they said, put these little honeycomb, they give it the little honeycomb. I don't know what they are like.
So
I
you
don't,
can't see light or
so you
something?
can't touch your eyes.
Oh, so you can't touch your I see,
So
okay.
so that first day, and I don't know if this is how all LASIK procedures go, but this is just how mine went. But they put these little honeycombs, like kind of goggles on your face so you can't touch your eye. They tell you to go home and sleep and then come back the next day and they check your eyes. Well, I was trying to squint, look through my honeycomb little things and see if my vision was better, and I couldn't really tell any difference that first night. But the next day, they took the little goggles off and they told me to read, um, the eye chart, and
Yeah,
it was very blurry, and I couldn't see anything. Even the E was, the big E.
the big E,
The big
yeah.
E was even,
You're like, "I know it's a big E, but I
yeah.
can't see it." Yeah.
So I was really concerned, and I
Yeah.
I think it was sometime that morning maybe that I started telling my husband, I can't see any better. I think I see worse." And he kept saying, "Oh, it'll be okay. It'll be okay." Because, we were naive. We didn't know. So we went in and the nurse said, "Well, sometimes it takes a day or two." And then the doctor came in and I said, "Is there something wrong? Because I can't see anything." And he said, "Oh, well, you just had a LASIK procedure yesterday. It's going to take a few hours. Some people get vision restored right away and some people don't. So it might take a few hours. Just go home and it'll get better." So that's kind of what I went with. But
Okay, so what kind of doctor is this? Is it an optometrist? What is this?
it's an optometrist. Yes, and I went to
Okay.
I've had people say to me, "Well, did you go to an experienced one?" I did. I think
Well, of
I,
course, like,
I
don't use a coupon.
right, right. I mean, they have a good reputation and
Yeah.
they've done thousands of procedures and they're a premier doctor in my area,
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Alright, so go home, give it a couple of days. Now what's happening?
well, I'm starting to get pain, more in my right eye and my eyes starting to swell, and I still can't see. I mean, it was like looking through Vaseline, and so I'm
Oh.
starting to get really concerned. Couldn't drive, so I called and I asked again, and they said, "Well, just give it a little more time. Sometimes it takes a couple days." I went to work, couldn't do a whole lot. Thank goodness I have wonderful coworkers that helped me and they encouraged me and they said, "Oh yeah, I did it." And at first I thought, "Oh my gosh." But it worked out okay. So I remained hopeful and I called two or three times and kept saying, I just can't see. Are you sure?" And um they said, "It's gonna be okay." And so I just kept waiting and waiting. And finally about day 6, my right eye swelled shut,
Oh, no.
and I knew something was really bad.
Oh, no.
So I called and they said, "Well, you have a follow-up appointment coming in a couple days." And, you know, I'm I'm used to, following instructions and doing what I'm told. I'm a
Mhm.
veteran and we do what we're told when we're, in the military. And so I said, "Okay," and hung up, and one of my coworkers was like, "Lori, there's something wrong. There is something wrong." And so I called back and I said I had to be a little insistent, and I said, "I need to come in. I need to come in." So I went in and they looked at my eye, and the younger doctor went out and got his dad, the more experienced doctor. they came in, they looked at each other and started talking in medical terms, and I knew it was really bad.
Oh.
Um,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
So,
All right. So I guess I gotta know. So what happened? What went wrong?
well, I have a condition called or had a condition called central toxic keratotomy, CTK for short. Officially, if you Google it, they don't know what causes it. They don't know how to prevent it. They say it's self-eliminating, which I mean, I guess it is. Eventually, my eyes got a little better, but my vision is I'm low vision disabled. So, for whatever reason, and I don't know that I'll ever know why, my my eyes reacted poorly to the laser, and one person said it's like scars formed on your corneas, and another doctor said it was like my corneas melted.
Oh my
So
gosh.
right, and so when I said it was like looking through Vaseline, it truly was looking through Vaseline. Like, I could see shapes and colors and, of course, light and dark, but I it was horrible. I just couldn't. I had headaches and I was stumbling and, obviously I couldn't work very well, um, couldn't drive. It was
Right.
just horrible. So, overnight, I went from being this long distance independent runner to,
Right.
"Honey, can you drive me to the store?" And then I couldn't shop. I was overwhelmed. I had to cling to his arm because I was afraid, afraid to get lost in the
Yeah.
store.
Right. Oh gosh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
terrifying.
So
Oh my
and
gosh. That real quick on that name that you said that you had, what was that medical term? That
central toxic keratotomy. I think I'm pronouncing keratotomy correctly. It's
so is that to
CTK.
you? Is that what I mean, like, is that a condition you have, or is that a condition as a result of the procedure?
It's a result of the
It
procedure.
is.
Um,
Oh. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. And the doctors
Wow.
admitted that it had happened to other patients before. They said I had a severe case. And
Yeah, yeah, you think. So tell me about, like, e before you go in, I'm sure you signed paperwork that says I
you
mean,
do,
did you know the
yeah.
risks that something like this could happen?
So this is where I'm trying to spread awareness. Everybody who does LASIK signs the release form, and it says could cause blindness. And we all think it's not going to happen to me. And when you Google it, it says, 98%, 99% success rate. But you know what really is success? Because I have a lot of friends now who have a lot of pain after LASIK, complications years and years later. The flap never heals. So, the complications are definitely underreported and definitely, in my opinion, understated. So, no, everybody says, "Well, I hope you sued them and you got." We can't do that. First of all, to sue somebody for malpractice or medical injury, you have to prove that they did something wrong. Well, if we don't know what causes CTK, how can I prove that they caused CTK? And you have to have another doctor usually to testify that they did something, you know, something wrong or negligent.
Yeah.
So, to their credit, I feel like I need to add that they saw me twice a week, 4 weeks on end. They paid for all of my aftercare. I was getting glasses, new prescriptions every couple weeks. I, all the drops, all the medicine, everything that I went through, they paid for all of it. They didn't charge me
Oh,
for
that's good.
anything. So at least they did that. That doesn't happen
Yeah.
for everybody, but
Yeah.
at least to their credit, they did do that for me. So,
So what is the prognosis for restoring your vision completely? I mean, are you ever gonna have your vision completely restored? I see you're wearing glasses today.
right. So I have to wear I'm fortunate that I wear hard contacts. They're called sclerals. They're not really actually contacts. They vault over my cornea. They rest on the sclera, which is the white part of my eye. They're like a bowl. They're very large. And I put fluid in them, sterile fluid in them every morning, and I lower my eye onto them And they make like an artificial kind of prosthetic or arch for my cornea. So because my cornea is melted, they're extremely flat and they're irregular. So I have my my vision cannot be corrected. I have irregular astigmatism. So I have double vision. So when I don't have any contacts in or glasses over, I'm at about 20/80 in one eye and 20/70 in the other, and I have double vision. So it's not just that I can't read the eye chart, it's that I see double and I get dizzy and my eyes don't work together. And so then with just glasses, they can't correct it to much better than that with just glasses. So with the sclerals then and the bifocals over, I'm at about 20/40, is the best corrected that I am. So I'm legal to drive and everything now. For months, I couldn't drive, I couldn't hike, I couldn't, even curbs, I would trip on curbs. I would, you know, think I put the milk jug on the edge of the counter when it would fall off because that wasn't really the edge of the counter. And
Right? Oh,
I'm glad
wow.
I can kinda laugh about it now.
Oh,
Um, I had lots
gosh.
of headaches. I mean, it was just really something. And it took, I'm almost 3 years out, and I'd say it was about 2 years probably until I got to this point that I'm at now. So it was a gradual, very gradual. Sometimes my eyes would get a little better and I would be excited. Hey, I'm corrected to 20/80 now. And then I would go back and then I wouldn't have 20/80 anymore. And
Oh, wow.
so it was a very much an emotional roller coaster. I'd be so hopeful and go in and then I would anticipate these visits and I would go in and then if I didn't get good news, I'd try to slip into depression for a few
Yeah.
days, go to a dark place for a while.
Yeah.
But
I was just gonna ask you that. How did you navigate the emotions? That would be so frustrating and scary and like you said, depressing, to lose your eyesight. I don't sometimes I think these things, our eyesight, our sense of smell, our hearing, we sure take those things for
we
granted, don't we?
do. Yeah, we do.
Oh my gosh.
That's what my eye doctor now tells me because I get by so well. He told me the other day, "I don't know how you do what you do because I work on a computer all day long with double
Yeah.
vision and I get eye fatigue and I get headaches and these sclerals are not very comfortable. I have to have it there's like a rough edge on one of them so that it will stay in place and not roll around. And even he says, "I don't know how you do it." But, the human brain is just incredible. And when you decide that you're going to succeed and you're going, okay, Lord, this is the hand I've been dealt. Help me deal with it, and help me remain positive. So I would say that to myself and to God over and over, just help me. And when I would get into the dark place, Vivian, I would tell somebody. I would speak. I had this Facebook group, which is fabulous, Lasik complications group. Um, let me back up just a little bit. I need to tell you two things about my past. Okay. I was married very young, straight out of high school, went in the Navy, was married to a guy that was like 4 years older than me. Suddenly and unexpectedly, he passed away one night in his sleep. He died of a rare heart condition that we didn't even know he had. So I had spent my 20s angry with the Lord. I quit going to church. I quit reading my Bible. I always knew there was God, and I still knew I was saved. But man, I was mad at him. I was so angry, and I had the worst decade. I made poor decisions, and I struggled, and just all the things, and so I know now at 50 years old, when you have a crisis, I think you handle it way better than when you're 20 anyway. But, once you go through those experiences, and also my husband, right before I did the Lasik procedure, not right before, a few months before, had been diagnosed with prostate cancer. So we were walking through that too. And So I'm a former teacher, and I'm a doer, and I'm a studier. So when he got diagnosed, I decided to learn all things prostate cancer, all the treatment options and all the ins and outs. And so I found Facebook groups that specialized in, okay, so you have prostate cancer. This is what you can do and all the outcomes. And I made friends, and I
Yeah.
networked. And
Mhm.
so as soon as this happened to me, I was like, I bet there's a group out there. And
Yeah.
sadly, there's a group
Yeah.
out there, Lasik complications. And so when everybody around me was tired of hearing me talk about I can't see anything and I can't hike and I about fell off my treadmill and when I was in a dark place, I would just talk to somebody. I would, if nothing else, I had to put my font up. My font, it was ridiculous, and we laughed about it. The font on my phone was like at 50 or
Huge.
something. Yeah. But I would just reach out, and when I thought I was wearing this person out, I would go talk to somebody else, and all the things that I didn't do when I was 20 that I should have done. I didn't grieve properly, and it was definitely a grieving process as well. Yeah, because I didn't know what was gonna happen. I didn't know anything about sclerals at the time. I didn't know if I'd ever run again, hike again, be able to drive again. I didn't know if I was going to be able to ever climb a mountain again. Will I be able to see the mountains? So yeah, all the
Yeah.
emotions. And then
Yeah. The grieving part is so important because, I mean, when I went through my cancer journey, I had a portion of my leg had to be cut out, and it was big chunk,
right,
right?
right,
I grieved that, and
yes,
I felt so silly, but then I too joined a cancer group,
yes,
and when I was sharing that with them, I said, my cancer journey wasn't near like some of the others that were on that group, and so I kinda downplayed it. I'm like, "I know this sounds really stupid, but I have this, big thing taken out of my leg," and they're like, "Don't you dare downplay that. That is your reality, and you have to grieve that in order to move on."
right,
And so I just thought it was so helpful, but again, like you said, for me to tell my husband that, he'd be like, "Babe, you're alive, be thankful." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know this, but there's just a piece of me gone, and I need to grieve that piece."
right. I mean,
Yeah.
emotions are valid. We're getting emotions for
Mhm.
a reason, and even if they're irrational, I I have
Yeah.
irrational fears now that I know stem from my first husband passing away, and I'll tell my
Yes.
husband now, I know this is irrational, but I'm scared of you being on that one certain highway. I know you drive that highway all the time, but that highway scares me, and I know it's not rational. So, if I could say anything to anybody, it would be, first of all, don't do LASIK. Second of all, um, if you're grieving anything, a divorce is a true grief. I've been through that. Um, a job, losing a job, just any kind of find your people, speak to your people, pray about it. It is 100% okay to tell God that you're mad. You can even be mad at God.
Yeah.
Instead of turning away from the Lord when I was widowed, I should have turned to the Lord and said, "Darn it, why? I'm angry. Why? Why am I dealt this hand?" But this time, when I was dealt an ugly hand, I thought, "Why not me?" I've been in all those cancer groups, and once you see that,
Yeah. Yeah.
you think, "Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna listen to the Bible on audio since I can't read the Bible." And
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's one thing that I did, and I got so much of the Bible read, or not read, but listened to. It's incredible how fast you can go through the Bible when you listen
I
to
need to
it.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
those are some
I
of the
love
ways that I
that.
coped. Yeah. And I
I love that. And it's okay. You know what? I just talked to another guest, another podcast. We were talking about lamenting and how that's biblical and just
Yes.
crying out. As believers,
Yes.
we have that we can do it with God and he understands it. And there's no judgment in that really. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
We can just come to him and we can ask the wise. I mean, when Jesus was hanging on the cross, I mean, he was lamenting, right? And
Yes.
so
Yes.
he's a big enough God to be able to handle that and handle our frustrations and anger. But I love though that you were able to recognize, okay, I've been dealt this hand, I'm going to handle this differently. So
Yes.
you grew, and I love that.
Yes.
I
Yes.
love it.
Yes.
I love it. So in what ways during this you're asking God, why me? Why not me? How did you experience God's presence, or maybe even provision during this time as you were adapting to your new reality about your impaired vision?
Well, I was able to find some of the best doctors in the nation, some of the people who'd been through what I'd been through. He put the right people in my path as far as my coworkers. I have some amazing coworkers. My supervisor at the time is a believer. He walks with the Lord,
Oh,
and
good.
so I would go in and shut his door, and he and I would just, talk, and I would say the things, and so there's power in who you surround yourself with, and if you don't have that, because um my work family is my family,
Yeah.
and I have a very large family as well, so my children are grown, and my daughters, bless their hearts, I drove them crazy, just, but you have to, um because there's a lot of suicide with this, unfortunately, so you have to reach out, but God put the right people in my path, the right things, even the little things, Vivian, like, my husband was gonna go work at, he was gonna go work in a neighboring city, and I was scared to be alone, obviously, and so he just took me with him, and he said, "I bought some trekking poles, and we're gonna try to hike." And I was like, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah, we're gonna try to and I'd never used trekking poles before. I thought those were for old people and,
I
you
hear
know,
you.
and this was several months in, and I hadn't been on the side of a mountain or, done any serious hiking or anything like that since, um, the Lasik procedure went south, and so just we had to go slow, and I had to pick my way, and still to this day, sometimes I get dizzy and I have to stop. But just hiking, just trekking poles, just my husband thinking to get trekking poles. I mean, God was
Yeah.
in all of it. Every time I would go into a dark place, there would be something. We had our 25th anniversary while all this was going on, and so, um, I started planning a vow renewal, and talking to my daughters about dresses and colors and flowers, and like I said, I probably drove them crazy, but I would say to them, "Hey, I need this right now. I'm having a hard day." And so they would tell me a story that one of the babies did something or, so that was a big difference between dealing with a crisis, I think, just being more of a mature Christian and
Yeah.
also being able to say, "Hey, I'm having a hard day. Can you help me?" And then reaching out if something
I
really
think that
important
is
to that.
so important. And thank you for giving people permission to do that. To reach out and say, I'm having a bad day or I'm having a hard day. Because a lot of times, if you don't, people will assume that you're okay when you're not okay. And you've shared with me, and that was one of the things that was so heartbreaking when you shared with me. There's been people in your groups and stuff that have taken their life because of the pain
The
and because of
pain.
the
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
things of that nature. So we don't know what people are going through. And so I just appreciate you giving people that permission to ask for what they need.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes they're not going to know. So how is your perspective like on life? You've kind of shared a little bit already, but how's your perspective on life and purpose and faith and everything? How has that changed for you since your experience?
Well, I think going through what I went through in my 20s, losing my first husband, being devastated, um, ending up divorced, being a single mom, all of those things taught me to appreciate what I had in life, the little things in life. And so I feel like I was a little more grateful already. But then once you lose, like you said, one of your senses, um, your vision. Like, and I'm such an outdoorsy person. I mean, grew up riding horses and now I climb mountains and love to be on the ocean and in our boat and all the things. So I don't take I don't think I take any blessing for I'm sure I take a lot of blessings for granted. I shouldn't say that. I don't take as many blessings for granted. So
Yeah.
this summer when I was able to stand and stare at Mount Rainier, and actually see it because I had my sclerals on and my glasses over, you know, I try to in the Bible when it says that Mary stored these things up in her heart. That's some of my favorite verses. She stored this up in her heart. It says a couple different times. She stored this up in her heart. And so I try to do that. I had 3 grandbabies born right before all of this happened. One was a set of twins, and they don't look anything alike. They're both girls, but they're not identical. And for a while, I couldn't tell my baby girls apart. And I mean, one is blonde and one's brunette. So
Yeah.
I would when I got my vision back, I would look at them and just try to memorize what they looked like because I was afraid, what if I lose that? And so
Yeah.
I think every little thing I just appreciate a little more.
Yeah.
Everything that I get to do and all the things with my kids and my grandkids. Because you just never know. You never know. And not just vision. I mean, anything could happen. You could have any tragedy in life, or you could lose anybody. So I don't let the little things bother me as much anymore.
That's
And
wise. Yeah,
I
that's
I think
wise.
yeah, I think that comes with our age as well.
It
And
does. I don't have room for no nonsense
right,
now or
right,
drama. I'm so
right,
tired.
right. I mean, you
Yeah.
you type out the response and then you just, "Oh, let me just delete that. That's not worth it.
Yes,
That's
that's
not worth
not
it."
worth it. It's
And
really not. Oh,
and
that's beautiful.
when you can't see and you spend a lot of time, listening to audio or just sitting and listening to the birds. I love to listen to the birds. You have a lot of time to pray. You have a lot of time to meditate, a lot of time to think. And so you tend to get your priorities set straight. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, definitely. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I love that. Yeah, I'm having to reset my priorities like every day, it seems like.
Yeah.
I try to get up in the morning and ask God, tell me what my priorities are because I'm going to jack that all up. So if I do it on my own. Oh, as
Yeah.
we kind of get to wrapping today up, this has been so great to learn from you about your experience. So, what would you say to those who are listening that maybe they're going through an unexpected, difficult trial? Maybe their faith is being tested. Maybe they're considering LASIK. What do you say to these folks?
First of all, please don't do LASIK. LASIK is 100% optional. There are contacts and glasses out there that can restore vision better than LASIK. You're going to have glasses if you live long enough anyway. Everybody, if you live long enough, will probably have cataract surgery. They can restore a lot of your vision with new lenses when you do cataract surgery. And that is a needed procedure. And so, I don't see it as much trepidation doing that. I don't want to, send the wrong signal there. So I obviously have strong opinions against LASIK. Um, as far as anybody else who's going through a trial or a tribulation, feeling down, maybe dealing with depression, um, you're needed here. People love you. And the devastation to lose you. And I know people that are in that super dark place aren't thinking about that. But I, if I could just tell people before you get to that super dark place, I always knew when I was slipping. Every time I've ever been depressed, I knew when I was slipping. And so there's a point where you can reach out for help, talk to somebody. There are so many online groups. Get help through your church that find some hope. There's a group for everything and everybody. If it's somebody with vision problems, I'm more than welcome and willing to talk to anybody about any of it. That's why I'm starting to speak out because I don't want to, hear of any more people doing the ultimate and taking their own life. And I want people to be more aware that you can go online and you can hear lots of stories about, yes, it was fabulous for me. It was the greatest thing I ever did. But I'm telling you, when it goes bad, it's
Yeah.
horrible. And, vision loss is something that here we are talking about a colony on Mars, but there's not a whole lot that can be done for your, like, cornea replacement's not the answer. That's a horrible procedure in itself and painful and doesn't always work. And so, there's just not a whole lot they can do for your vision or your eyes.
Yeah.
You would think that there would be more, but there's really not. So, but as far as anybody dealing with depression or anger with God, God can handle whatever you need to say to Him.
Yeah.
Um, and reach out, get hope. Have some hope, find some hope, and tell people that this is what I'm needing today. I need something positive. So, and I'm here to talk to anybody, Vivian.
Well, thank you. Well, and that's why I wanted to have you on, and I so appreciate you sharing such a personal story. And I do know that you have very strong feelings. And if you're listening or watching today, what I would suggest is do your homework. You're
Yes.
getting another side of the story by listening today, and
Right.
Lorrie has offered to speak with you. And so, Lorrie, how might folks be able to get in touch with you if they would like to do a little more research and talk about your story and what they might could expect if they had this procedure done?
Right. Okay. Well, I I do Facebook. I'm hot and heavy on Facebook. Um, so you can find me on Facebook, Lorrie Tevebaugh. I just started an Instagram account. As soon as I figure out Instagram, I'm hoping to be very active on Instagram. I do
You'll do it.
Telegram. I don't have a website yet, but yeah, I'm hoping to get my story out a little more. So I'm planning to be out there on social media. Send me a message. Anybody wants to email me, um, you'll put that in the show notes, right? My email
I will
address
put
and
all that in the
everything.
show notes,
Okay.
and I'm wondering too, on the, Facebook groups that you're on, can people go there maybe too?
The LASIK complication group, they specifically want you or somebody in your family
Understood.
to
Okay.
um, kind of be in that group. There is a scleral group called My Big Fat Scleral Lens, I think. My Big Fat Scleral. That if you search that, you'll find it. If anybody, I didn't know that scleral lenses even existed, but they're fabulous and they help people that are having pain. That's one thing I wanted to mention is I am blessed that I don't have pain anymore. Some people have a lot of nerve pain, and that's usually what drives them to the dark places is the pain, and there's not a lot that can be done for nerve pain in the eyes. So I've been very blessed there that I don't have that pain. Yeah, yeah. So
Well, I'll put all of that in the show notes, and then we'll probably drop those other Facebook groups in there for those who are listening who
okay,
maybe they are in that space and they don't know
right,
where to go. We want to
right.
direct them to a group of people who understand and can help them through that. So, Lorrie, thank you so much for joining and sharing your story and raising awareness. And this has been so nice to reconnect with you. Thank you so
Thank
much for being
you.
here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Juggling Life Finding Balance podcast. Tell me what you think about today's episode by leaving a comment and a review. And be sure to come visit me over on my website, viviancummins.com, where you can find more episodes and other great information to help you move the needle from busy to balanced. Until next time, be blessed and stay balanced.